Hey guys, my name's Max Convexity. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my outdoor office here in Austin, Texas. I cannot even begin to tell you guys how beautiful it is today in Austin. Keep an eye out, you might see some white-tailed deer behind me. We have, our neighborhood has wild deer that just roam around. They're really tame and they're really beautiful. My favorite one, I even gave her a name. Her name's Soda Pop. I don't feed him. You aren't supposed to feed him because it brings the coyotes too. But I do put water out for him. So today I wanted to talk about how Donald Trump helped me make my first little killing in options. So to talk about this, we got to go back to the summer of 1989. It was a time of Camaros and Trans Ams and INXS and Madonna and Michael Jackson and Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard. It's a good decade. But it's also known as it was a decade of excess, or the age of excess, they called it. One of the things, I think one of the reasons they called it that, what the 80s was known for, one of the things it was known for was leveraged buyouts. And a leveraged buyout is where a billionaire would come in and make a bid on a company, even if they weren't welcome, kind of like Elon did to Twitter. But it was a little different because in the old days, the billionaires came in and they used other people's money. Elon used his own money mostly. But they would use other people's money. That's where the leverage came from. Then they would sell the company up and split it up for parts, and they would pick a company where the parts were worth more than the whole thing. Nabisco was a famous leverage buyout. I think it may have been the biggest one ever. Carl Icahn, who's still around today, was real big into leverage buyouts. Also a firm called Kohlberg, Kravis, and Roberts. They bought a bunch of firms. Anyway, so I was reading the Investor's Business Daily every day because the Wall Street Journal has bad option tables, didn't have good option information. So I subscribed to the Investor's Business Daily. I swear sometimes I dream in the options table, or I dream about putting on positions. And I've done that for years. So I also watched a lot of CNBC. So that summer they were talking about, it was the airlines that were really in play. United Airlines had been bought out or was in talks. There was a billionaire out of Los Angeles who bought Northwest Airlines. And the next one that was in play was American Airlines. And being from around here, Americans from Dallas, and you know, that was kind of my airline. And I really always admired Bob Crandall. He was my favorite CEO ever. He was the CEO and the chairman of American Airlines. Great dude. Anyway, so American Airlines was in play, and they were going to get taken over. That's what the guys on CNBC were saying, and I just could not take it anymore. And I didn't have an options account, so I talked to Papa Convexity. And I talked Papa Convexity into buying some options for us. I told him I'd split it with them if we won, which was nice of me considering I didn't have any of my own money in it. But anyway, I think Dad called up his broker, Dean Witter, and bought 5 options. Call options in American Airlines. AAL was the symbol. And I'll be damned if it was maybe a week later I got up. It was around the time of my birthday, so by this time it was October. It was the fall. I got up, and I'll be darned if Donald Trump hadn't made a bid, an unsolicited bid, to take over American Airlines. It made the stock shoot up overnight. Oh my gosh, it was such a good feeling to wake up and have an extra $5,000. So that day when my dad got home from work, we sold the options, took our profit, thank goodness, because a few days later, a few weeks later, Trump's offer never materialized, or he withdrew it or something. He at the time owned the Eastern Airlines Shuttle, they called it, which was a real valuable route. He renamed it the Trump Shuttle, and he spent money upgrading the planes to give them all golden toilets. I remember hearing that. But he had his own airline, but he really was interested, I think. But he also may have just been doing it, and maybe he bought call options too. Who knows? It doesn't even matter. But that was a great time. The 80s were a great time. Age of excess. It was a great time. I always talk about selling options because you win 2 times out of 3, and that's what people should do. But there are occasions like this time when it is the right thing to do, or it is something you can do with, not with money you want to live off of, but something you can do if you have a little extra money. And because if you hit one of these, imagine if you would have had GameStop. American Airlines in that summer and fall was kind of like GameStop was. I think it finally went to 300 before the deal fell apart. I think Dad and I bought our options when the stock was around 100. And I think when Trump came in, he bid 150 or 120, if I remember. But it shot up from 100 to whatever he bid overnight. We got out. His bid fell apart. But still, they kept ramping the stock up. And eventually, it crashed. They got bought over. But they did get bought out eventually. But I think that was in the early 90s. But anyway, thanks for taking a trip down memory lane with me. I like talking about options, obviously. Leave me a comment, if you like this content, leave me a comment or a thumbs up, whatever. But if I did something bad or something's messed up, tell me about it and I'll try to fix it. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great what's left of your day. Bye-bye.